I'm Jonathan Clarke here, joined live on the phone by the founder of that band, ladies and gentlemen. It's the legendary Iggy Pop. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right.
And thank you so much for calling to the show tonight. The Stooges have a brand new album out called The Weirdness, and I love that album title, by the way. But I think I have this right. It's the first album for the band in 33 years, and you know, all this reunion stuff going on, and I think, quite frankly, the Stooges reunion should be the biggest, baddest reunion tour of 2007.
Everybody's doing it now. It's weird. I don't know. Do you think Van Halen checks the Stooges? I don't know.
I guess that one's not...
Do you think Sting gets up in the morning and when he orders his tea with a little bell, he asks for the latest news on the Stooges?
I think, you know, and if he doesn't, damn it, I think he should.
It's probable, actually.
But, yeah, I guess the Van Halen thing's not happening, but you guys are, and, you know, I think you sort of fooled around with this idea back in 2003, right, with the Skull Ring album.
As soon as we finished that record, we started working, and we've been working steadily. That's all we do. And for 3.5 years now.
I love that Skull Ring album too. That song "Whatever" is absolutely one of my favorites. But
thanks, man.
Oh, absolutely, man. No, that song just kicks butt on the radio. And I think the Stooges, you guys had 4 songs on that record, right?
Yeah.
And so when I read that when you called the Ashton brothers about getting back together back then, one of them actually had the same phone number as he did 25 years ago.
He's still got it, dude.
In Michigan?
It's the same number he's had for at least 45 years.
God bless him. So was it like hitting a songwriting oil well when you first got together with Ron and Scott after all these years? Because I read when you guys were down in Florida, like writing songs over the past few years, you wrote like 30 songs, like very quickly.
We wrote a lot of stuff, but we took our time doing it. So both are true, but you know, we didn't spend it. We'd come for 4 or 5 days and jam and write, and then we'd let it alone for a few months, kind of simmer down, and we kept doing that for a couple of years till we had a lot. I'd say it took about a year between working this Skull Ring. We really didn't write too much together. Ron brought in a couple of things, and I let them. They took the studio, him and Scott, for a couple of days alone. I just gave them the keys and a technical slave, you know.
Right.
And came in and did vocals. It took us a while to get around to sort of our vibe, but then once it was there, then it's like riding a bike or something.
Well, it's Jonathan Clarke live on the phone with Iggy Pop with the Stooges reuniting with a new album, The Weirdness, here on Q1043's 300th Out of the Box show. Where does the title of the album come from, The Weirdness?
Well, you know, I don't know about the set you move with, but among the Stooges, we use the word weird to indicate an action or a situation or an attitude that is, it's not desirable, it's not correct, it's not cool, and it's not really worth kind of talking too much about, so you just say, it was weird. You know what I mean? like you went to see so-and-so. Well, how was it? I don't know. It was weird, man, you know, sort of like that, right? And so then the weirdness is an entire atmosphere like that, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's a great song on this new CD, My Idea of Fun. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, there's a novelist named Will Self, an English novelist who, I think he might have become deranged or something, because I haven't heard anything about him in a few years, but a fair number of years back, he wrote a book called My Idea of Fun, and I thought the title was good. The book was so deranged, I got 3 pages in and gave it a rest, but I always liked the title. You know, it starts out with a guy, I think a guy is on the subway, and he sees another guy, and he looks at him wrong, so he takes out a huge knife, and he slices off the guy's head and then disembowels the guy and sticks his head in his guts, or just something really ridiculous.
Oh, like a typical day on the A train here in New York,
there
right?
You go, you know. I said, well, okay, this book's not for me, but it was a good title. I saved it in my mind, and then we were having a jam. It was the first thing we jammed for this album, and I thought, well, maybe something with that title. And for some reason, out popped this phrase, "is killing everyone," you know. And I'm still not sure why that happened, you know. But sometimes that's one thing that happens to me if I hear a piece of music that you know, gets me in a mood. Things just pop out. So that's how it came about. And then you know, then after that, it took a long time to figure out a verse that would be appropriate, because it's such a strong thing to say. I mean, it's not really very nice.
Did you guys all sort of have that sort of moment where you're like, wow, this kind of brings me back 33 years when you were jamming for the first time?
No, not really. We just kind of kept jamming stuff, and if we had it, then we all had it mentally and privately, but we didn't really talk about it. No.
You just sort of let it happen?
I was thinking at the time, I was thinking that's about the same groove, you know?
Right.
We don't talk a lot.
So, Iggy, I got to ask you, do you have an iPod?
Well, I do. I have everything, but I give it all away. So,
well, my question is, what do you listen to if you're listening to anything these days?
All right, I'll go back to the iPod. I gave it to my assistant Spencer because I don't like sticking to my ears.
Yeah.
I did that for long enough, and I like to hear the music come through the air, and I like to hear it on. I prefer usually a crappy little machine, 5 days a week, and then once a week a really good system for a couple hours. I kind of like, yeah, I kind of like that.
Right.
So, you know, I came up listening to music on General Motors and Ford car speakers.
Of course.
In the 50s.
Yeah.
And early 60s when I was between 11 and 16 years old, and those were usually everything had come through a 1-inch speaker, and it was a mono mix, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to there's a French chick named Emily Simone, and she's it's electro pop in the same sense that Peaches is, except Emily's it's chanteuse, melodic, sensitive French music. I'm listening to it mainly because she covered "I Want to Be Your Dog," and I was curious to hear it.
Oh, okay.
It's a great cover. It's all like, you know, "Now I wanna be your dog." It's all like that, you know what I mean? And I'm sort of sticking my toe in A Fever You Can't Sweat Out by, Panic at the Disco.
Oh, Panic at the Disco. Okay, cool.
Yeah, just because I saw him on the TV one day by accident, and the guy is doing some very interesting lyrics.
Right.
And I was interested, so. But really, you know, mostly I just listen to, if I want to actually listen to music, I listen to old black people or old hillbillies. You know, people that have actually got something going on and they can get down, you know. Like, nothing really newer than Joe Tex, you know.
Right. Yeah. I love Joe Tex.
But Joe Tex is cool. On the other hand, like, you know, if I'm walking around and I happen to hear, like, the new T.I. or something,
yeah,
that sounds pretty cool, you know?
There's some cool things going on with hip-hop.
Yeah, here and there. Yeah, there will be some real little refreshing thing.